This episode of The Edge is brought to you by Audible.com, offering more than 180,000 titles for smartphone, tablet, and desktop. To get a free audiobook of your choice and help Trek.fm at the same time, visit audibletrial.com/trekfm. And also by Enterprise in Space, an international program of the nonprofit National Space Society. Find out how you can help science and education and become a virtual crew member aboard the NSS Enterprise Orbiter by visiting enterpriseinspace.org. And if you want to join the conversation and share your thoughts on this episode, join the Babel Conference, our listeners group on Facebook. Just type BABEL into the Facebook search field. We look forward to seeing you there.
You're listening to Trek FM.
What have you done out there on the edge of Federation space?
Welcome, listeners, to Postcards from the Edge. I'm your host, Amy Nelson, and with me this week is Tim Robertson. Tim, thank you for coming on Postcards again.
Hey, Amy, it's really... Oh, I'm sorry. I must be buffering. I'm doing good.
Oh, yes. Buffering. What an issue we all had.
Yes. No fun.
No. So you had trouble. I had trouble. There were so many comments on the Babel conference, people having difficulty. I think there was only one person, and they were on Netflix, and I think they were in Germany, and they're like, oh, I didn't have any problems. The one time it's to the advantage.
And apparently eliminated the commercials for him, too, so that was also nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it took me 3 hours of struggling to get it, and I finally ended up watching it on my computer last night, and then I watched it again today on my cell phone, which is not the medium to watch this show.
Yeah, I agree. Now, you took it a step further and called CBS on this issue?
I called CBS All Access this afternoon. I kept festering in my head, I got to do something about this. So I called them, and I got right into All Access. I was shocked.
Wow.
And they knew about the issue. They still hadn't identified what the issue was, but they took my All Access identification number, and they saw my account when I was talking to the guy. He knows who I am, and in fact, I told him I was doing a podcast tonight to talk to listeners about the issue, and that kind of changed the tone of the conversation. But he said he will definitely get back to me when they figure it out, and hopefully it will be fixed for next week. And I said, yes, that would be great.
Yeah, we would like it fixed immediately. They have a week to work on it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, when you find out, will you let us know on the Babel conference?
I will let everybody know, yes.
And I noticed you posted the phone number, so if other people need to call, they can do so there. Excellent. Well, we are going to talk about episode 6, Discovery. Lethe is, I believe, how you pronounce it. And
now, do you know what that means?
I had to look it up.
Me too. This is one of the few episodes I looked at the title and go, I have no idea what this means.
I know. And I was listening to the episode going, okay, do I hear this word? And I never heard it mentioned. So do you want to tell the listeners what Lethe is?
Yeah, it's from Greek mythology. It's the river of forgetfulness. It's one of the 5 rivers in the Greek underworld. And it's where the shades of the dead were required to drink the waters of the Lethe, I think that's how you say it, in order to forget their earthly life.
Yes. So I think it's fitting. I mean, when you think about what Sarek was trying to forget in his last moments, and that kept coming to his mind, and his last thoughts was what he did.
That's very good, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Well, what are your initial response and your thoughts to this episode?
Well, upon watching it completely in the 40 minutes or whatever, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's the Sarek, and then we have Amanda. We see who's playing Amanda, and it's the relationship there. I was really intrigued to see why Sarek, was the way he was with Spock, and the way he is with Michael, and it really, it tied little bows on little things for me too, which is what this show said they were going to do, and that's exactly what they're doing. Lorca scares the hell out of me. He's a nut job, and I'm sure we'll get into that. And the other characters, I'm really interested to see where it goes, and I think the listeners in their comments really did a good job on hitting the major points.
Yes, agreed. Well, I will be hosting The Edge this week, so listeners, you can listen to me tomorrow. That would be Friday when the main show, The Edge, comes out, so you can hear my thoughts on that. So you'll have to just wait.
So you're not going to tell us ahead of time, huh?
No, I'm not.
Okay, Amy.
So some initial thoughts from the listeners. Christopher Query says, love the disco workout shirt. I also agree.
I've already bought mine.
You did?
I did.
Oh my goodness. So he says, not only do they have holo communications, but they have a simulated firefight against holographic opponents. Not sure how Discovery is navigating now. Is Stamets the navigator or is now simulated? I wonder why the walls don't get damp during the black alert like they did the first time. Does it depend on how far the jump is? Want to see what the deal is with his reflection. Also still waiting on an explanation of the black badge. The story reminded me of Dreamscape. It adds a layer to the explanation on why Sarek was so upset with Spock for entering Starfleet. It shoots down my theory that Discovery takes place is the animated series Yesteryear timeline when Spock died at a young age. So sort of a good summary and definitely some questions.
A lot of good points. Yeah, I thought about the water too. Why wasn't it still dripping but they really don't show that effect anymore. They'll just show the Discovery dropping, which gives the illusion that it did the spore drive.
Yeah. But how is it now being accurate since they now release the tardigrade? That's a good question.
I think Stamets is doing it all. That's why he's becoming loopy. That's my thought. I don't know.
Yeah.
Chris Chaplin, he said, this episode finally has begun establishing a sense of family on board the Discovery, with Tilly and Burnham's relationship and Lorca and Burnham's mutual respect building. I can't wait to spend more time with these people. Also, the irony of Sarek's decision to select Spock was painful and so rich to Trek lore. 100% agree on that.
Yeah, and you're right. The sense of family is really shining through in their relationships. Definitely.
I don't know if I want to be a family member of Lorca's, but...
Yeah, we definitely will get into that. Dennis Bellinger says, well, I'm sold to Discovery. Last night's episode was the best yet as far as I'm concerned. It keeps getting better from one week to the next. Just when you start to like Lorca, he goes and does something to make you hate him. I love that the characters are so multi-layered. If that is the good Lorca, the mirror version must be a frightening major a-hole. Is it just me, or does Cole remind anyone of Doros? So duplicitous and backstabbing. Where is the honor?
Good point. Klingon honor. Yes.
So yeah, those disco shirts. Brandy Jackala says, in the first scene with Tilly and Michael jogging around the ship, my husband turned to me and said, do their shirts really say disco? He thought it was terribly funny. We around the network were calling it disco before the show started, and now it's canon. Definitely.
That's right. Yeah. Also, yes. Serena Rodriguez says, I love the Enterprise name drop. That was kind of nice. I enjoyed when Michael said, find a Constitution class ship kind of like the Enterprise.
I actually missed that, so I'm going to have to go back and hear that again. But Dan McWilliams says, anyone else thought it sounded like the theme song was playing in the scene as Muzak in the background? And Justin Ozer says, definitely sounded like the theme in the background. Again, I missed that. Did you catch that?
Sounds like it it didn't come out very well on my cell phone, so maybe I need to watch it again on the big screen.
Yeah, that might have been the streaming issues.
Talking about Sarek and Amanda, Bill Sweet said, I really, really, really love that they took a thread that is run through TOS and the TNG and the films, Spock's rocky relationship with his father, and unfolded this new angle why Sarek was so stressful about his son going into Starfleet. Masterful. They're tying up little pieces, and they've given us a whole story on the Vulcans, and I love it.
Yeah, Christopher Lutt says, 100% agree. They successfully added incredible depth to a 50-year-old storyline. Masterful is the word.
Matthew Pittard said, it's never really talked about, but because of the way their society is built up and their expulsion and suppression of emotion, Vulcans have a very racist and speciest feel to the interactions with others. Very true. I think we saw that really well in Enterprise.
Yes.
Just the whole Vulcan Earthling type of relationship.
Yeah. John Chipola says, I don't find them racist at all. Years of evolution have made them able to suppress their emotions. They do come off as cold because they control their emotions. So a couple different ways to look at that.
Do you think they're coming off as racist in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. They're elitist.
Yes.
The logical sense has them feeling that way.
Well, and I sort of got that from First Contact as well, and through Enterprise. Like
First Contact, the movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure we're talking the right. Anthony Ramirez says, it was great to see the origin of the Spock-Sarek's conflict. Again, the same theme. It was really nice to see. Patrick Carlin, a big revelation, adds a whole new layer to Sarek's Star Trek 3 line. My logic is uncertain where my son is concerned. Good point.
Yeah, Clara Jean Cook says, I'm impressed at what a protective and encouraging mother Amanda is. Still the best mother in the galaxy. I honestly wish she was in the Star Trek films and series more often, standing up for her biological and adopted children.
That's true. That she needs her own storyline.
Yeah.
I think that, just to see that relationship would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you could see in the Star Trek, the 09 movie, where they highlighted her. And again, she is just a very good mother. I think she walks the line perfectly between human and Vulcan. She understands the Vulcan and doesn't have any expectations, but yet still instills that emotion is important to her children. So
Spock will always be her son.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, now we're going to talk about our favorite captain.
Yes.
Captain Lorca. Lynn Payne. I love this episode. The backstory for Sarek and Michael was really interesting. I like Lorca more each week. Really? I can't decide if he decided to play by the rules so he won't lose his ship, or if it's convenient to keep both the Admiral from reporting him sneaky or terrified. Could be either or both.
Yeah, Serena Rodriguez says, I think it's sort of a way of getting back at the Admiral. Sort of, well, she wants me to play by the rules. I'll do that.
Christopher Luntz, my favorite character. Lorca shines again. He's so complex, honorable, and corrupt at the same time. I was convinced he would kill the Admiral, preserve his command. He keeps on dragging his feet. Next week, he still might. When he had the gun on her, even when she was walking out of his room, the back of my mind, I was saying, something's going to happen here. But he didn't.
I know. I was watching with my brother, and he was like, oh, she's a goner. I was like, oh, no.
Or the shuttlecraft blow up as it leaves the Discovery. I mean, something. But no.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens to her later.
Mm-hmm. Chris Chaplin says, I have loved Lorca from his introduction. I see him as damaged, battle-weary man eager to end the war. I don't think he'd do anything to win, but he's willing to skirt around regulations. His overture to Burnham was touching and endearing. Right now, my brain pegs him as Equinox Janeway, and for the uniform, Cisco.
Interesting. Christopher Mock. I'm right there with you with the likeness to Janeway and Cisco. I'd bet even money, though, in peacetime, he'd flip a Ben Maxwell, quick and fast, in a hurry.
Right? Love that.
Yep. Yeah, good point.
Jason Chapman says, when the female admiral took off her Starfleet badge in Lorca's cabin, what happened after that? Can someone explain it to me? LLL. I was so surprised when she did that, and I was like, oh, goodness. They are more than
really
friends.
Good friends, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rebecca Skipper. The fact that the Admiral and Lorca are more than just officers compromises the integrity of the command structure, though it makes the story more interesting.
Yes. Dan Rhodes says, I love the continued complexity of Lorca. It often seems he's just manipulating everyone around him. However, this episode makes me wonder if he actually could be a good captain who cares about his duty and crew, but is struggling to overcome a traumatic event. It reminds me a little of Picard after his assimilation. I can't decide whether I want Lorca to be a villain or hero, but I'm enjoying the ride. Do you want him to be a hero or the villain, Tim?
When I was watching it, he struck me as Matt Decker of TOS.
Yeah.
Doomsday Machine. That's, by the end of the last night's episode, that's what I felt like he was. He's obsessed. He's obsessed. He lost his ship. I mean, Decker had to watch his crew die. He put them on a safe planet, thought they were going to be fine. So I see him struggling. It's obviously PTSD that he's going through. But, I mean, I saw Decker, and I really did during the episode.
Interesting. Suman Dwan did not like seeing the vulnerable side of Lorca, especially when he was begging the Admiral to keep his ship. It was too out of character for him. However, Kay Elizabeth Shaw says, I couldn't disagree more. I think it was perfect. This is someone he clearly has a long-lasting, intimate relationship with. So the idea that he would let down his guard with her makes so much sense. I love that we're seeing that he's crumbling on the inside and his hard exterior is just a smokescreen. Seeing how torn he is at the end about leaving her there or keeping his ship just gave me all the feelings. He is so interesting.
Well, his last conversation with Saru, too. A decision they would make together, or a command that Lorca would give, he wasn't willing to do it. So he is... There's some damage that's coming to the surface now, and Saru noticed it, too.
Yes.
Dan Rhodes said, Does anyone else think that Lorca's hidden phasers might be because he suspects his new security chief is a spy, but unconventional enough to let that game play out in a hope of turning a spy into an asset? He doesn't seem to completely buy Ash's story in the prison ship or on the Hollow scenario. Yeah, we're going to talk about Tyler in a little bit.
So Floyd Dorsey says, I also think Lorca is slowly/quickly becoming unhinged. He is showing signs of PTSD. After Cornwell confronted Lorca in his quarters and was later recommended by Lorca to go meet the Klingons, I thought that it would be very convenient if she were, quote-unquote, lost during the mission, and her findings regarding Lorca's inability to captain Discovery were also lost. I got a very Garak vibe from Lorca as he watched the Admiral board her shuttle, like Garak from In the Pale Moonlight.
Good. I like that. And Swan Duan said a very good quote that we should all remember. It's never a good idea to sleep with your boss.
Right? Well, There was some comments there, and someone posted a picture of Picard and from Lessons. Oh my gosh.
It's TNG.
I know it's TNG. My favorite. Lessons with, you know who I'm talking
Deanna
about.
Troi?
No. Oh my goodness. Nella Darren. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. So that's the one I remember, and that's the one they posted. But yes, never a good idea to sleep with your boss. Very good. So yeah, Lorca definitely was a hot topic going throughout the threads, and we just don't know. Do we love him? Do we hate him? Is he good? Is he bad? And definitely,
he's definitely complex.
Definitely.
You know, and it's every layer of the onion we peel back, it's a little scarier. And, you know, where's the humanity in him? I want to see that too, though.
Yeah. So what did you think of when he told Ash to bring her back unscathed? And he was like, oh, yeah, the ship. And he's like, no, her.
That conversation, I loved more Ash's response to it.
Yeah.
Because I think that put Michael on a level that Ash didn't expect the mutineer to be on.
Yeah.
And it showed the value that Lorca sees in her, because she is extremely valuable. I mean, in many ways to his crew and to his command. So yeah, it was an interesting conversation, but like I said, his response to that was more intriguing to me.
All right. Well, talking about Ash Tyler, Dave Veenstra says he's getting closer to Michael and will probably sleep with her so that he can make it hurt extra badly when he betrays and kills her. He did read the crew manifest on the Shenzhou multiple times and knows who Burnham is.
Del Nakamura says, I'm going to be disappointed if the Tyler Vok thing is equal. I just don't find it believable that he could pull off the spot of social interaction and subtle conversation expressions like we see between him and Burnham in the end. And the casual conversation, much less the perfect English, the concept of him being Vok is fun, but it strains my suspicions and disbelief. You know, I think it's something that they put out there for us to talk about, because, I mean, we're not stupid fans. We dig into this stuff. And I think it's too obvious that that's maybe the direction they want us to think it's going.
Well, I want to pipe in here just a little because I was thinking that, yes, I could see that Tyler would be Voke, and I like that idea. But now, after seeing this episode, and like you're right, the knowledge is too deep. The interactions, the conversation, his English that he's speaking so conversationally, like that would be extremely difficult for a Klingon, much less a Klingon who is very rooted in his culture and wanting to, serve Takuma and getting back to the basics of Kahless. Like that just, I don't know if it could be done in this short amount of time, right? 7 months.
Lorca is just suspicious of everybody. That's his nature. And to quiz him like he did, I think he was doing that for us as well. Because these are questions we would want to ask Tyler. You say you're from Seattle. Well, you're 24 kilometers outside Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, I got friends that live in Seattle that are outside Seattle. It's just a point of reference for people.
Yeah.
So I don't,
But the splitting hairs, like Lorca does, like sort of proves that point. And he says to Cromwell, like, I checked him out, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess his secret identity would have to have been very deep in Starfleet.
Right.
And it had, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah. Max Libisky's, I'm sorry, I probably butchered it. Does anyone else miss the tribble on Lorca's desk? I didn't notice it. I'm fixated on the fortune cookies. I don't know. I actually bought some today.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean that would be the end all to spell that rumor.
Right. And Max says,
I have not seen him in Lorca's office either. So
yeah, Max says, so if the whole Ash's Voke complication is really true, maybe Lorca also knows who Ash really is and intentionally made him a crew member and, got rid of the tribble. I don't know. Yeah. So some final thoughts. We've got some nice long listener response. I really wanted to read Nicholas Paul Collinson's. So if you'll bear with me, he says, wow, this was a great episode too, especially the first act. Where to even begin? The first name drop of Enterprise was great. Don't know about the holodeck, but it was a cool scene. I like the Vulcan logic extremist plotline. I hope that continues to the next season. I hope it involves secret Romulans. I sort of do too. I love Tilly and Burnham training, and their relationship is so real and so human. Ash is pretty cool. I kind of hope he's not actually a Klingon. He seems so genuine. I find it pretty unbelievable that Vogue could become good at playing this part so quickly. My crazy theory is that he's a red herring and Lorca is the spy. I think L'Rell messed with his eyes and is using them to spy on Discovery, like they did with Geordi and the Klingons. Okay, I love it.
Always go back to TNG.
I know I do. Love the disco shirts. Want one of my own. The long-range mind link feels a bit hand-wavy, but I think they make it work with good acting and taking it 100% seriously. Nice flashback. I like how we're finding out more about Michael's life and how it adds more depth to Spock's backstory as well. I feel like we're getting slight shades of Sarek's later illness. It seems like Lorca legit cares about Burnham. The use of Michael's telepathic link feels very old school Trek, very TNG, definitely something I could also see happening to Troy. See why I read this comment? He continues, says, I like Lorca and Cromwell. Obviously, so much history there. Lorca knows he was sending her into danger. I like how power mad and unstable he's getting. Looks like Discovery might need a mutineer after all. And of course, Lorca's single malt fan. Hope he likes an Islay malt.
Islay malt.
Very nick of time ending, but that's also very old school Trek. Overall, really like this episode. They're weaving it into the established canon very well, I think. Nicholas had one more thing to mention, and I found it interesting. He says, and he is a zoologist. And while I love Saru and the idea of the kelpland so much, if he really were a prey species, his eyes would be on the side of his head for a wider field of view. Predators have forward-facing binocular vision for better depth perception when hunting. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a good point. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I guess we can't have Saru and, with his eyes to the side. That just wouldn't work.
That would be weird. Yes.
Yeah.
Liam Kerrigan said, another solid episode. I didn't enjoy it as much as last week, but I love the dive into Sarek's backstory and the mentions of Spock. The creation of a certain degree of animosity between them can perhaps explain why, in 50 years of continuity, Spock never mentioned Michael. Lorca is such a back-and-forth character, it's so easy to switch between loving and hating him. One thing I will say is that they are implying that there is no more Ash than meets the eye. I just hope he doesn't turn out to be a rogue agent. Given the current political situation of the world, I don't think it would be a very smart move to make the only Middle Eastern actor on the main cast an insurgent.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't see too many negative comments. Well, in fact, I didn't see any at all.
They were mostly about streaming.
Yes, the negative was about the streaming for sure. So, Tim, what are your final thoughts, and how do you think that the fans received this episode this week?
I think the fans received it very well. I mean, it is... I'm debating whether this is my favorite or the previous episode was my favorite. I have to, like I said, I need to watch it again on the big screen to make sure, to catch everything, like the music that Justin talked about. I want to hear that. One thing I'm really looking forward to is this character has been in every single episode, but she's had a few speaking lines. But it's Emily Coates. Yeah, that's the actress's name. She plays the helmsman, Kayla Detmer.
Oh, yeah.
She's in every episode. She's a helmsman. She's up there. She's in, Sulu's spot. I have a feeling there's going to be something, because now she's wearing the prosthetic on her face,
right,
obviously from the accident, from the Battle of Binary Stars.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know her backstory, too. She's someone that is there. She's in the front seat. She's driving the darn thing. So let's hear about her. And I wonder if there's going to be a little episode coming up about her.
Yeah.
And also, okay, we teased the mirror thing last time.
Yes.
Bring it on. I want the mirror universe. I really want to.
So after seeing last week, and I didn't say anything about it, but I was thinking, what if what we're watching now is the mirror universe?
I think the mirror universe is going to have Captain Giorgio.
Oh.
I think she will be a part of not necessarily this crew, but I think the Shenzhou will pop back up in the mirror universe, because she's in the credits for pretty much the entire run of this thing. And I don't believe it's just going to be flashbacks. She's too darn good of an actress.
She is.
To kill off and not bring her back.
She is.
And I firmly think she's going to be around when we start delving into that mirror universe. And that's going to play hell with Michael Burnham's psyche right there.
So I think the fans are really getting on board. I think they are right in saying that this definitely feels more Trek. It is tying up those little, wonderings with the whole Spock and Sarek. And that is just beautiful. That is wonderful to see. And, the mind melding and the Katra, that is all just Trek lore to its core. So I'm very, very happy. I, again, agree with what the fans have said. I think this is a great episode. I'm not one to really rank things, but I definitely enjoy this episode. So.
Very good. Me too.
Well, be sure to check out Discovery coverage throughout the week. So let me give you a rundown of what we have here for you on Trek FM. On Monday is Live from the Edge, and you can catch them live. You can see them face to face. It's such a different experience when you do that. That is 9 p.m. Eastern, and it's on YouTube. You can ask them questions, tweet them, talk to them live, and then that will be released as a podcast on Tuesday. Our commentary, done by Mike Schindler and a host, will come to you on Wednesday. Then we have your postcard show that comes to you every Thursday. And then, yay! And of course, you will get our full analysis on The Edge, which is our main show, on Friday. And then to wrap up the week, we have Notes from The Edge, which our lovely Chris Jones does. And he does a great job. And
he is lovely too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's a lovely man.
And he does those links between Star Trek with all the series and including the books. Like, it's a very, very good. I would highly recommend listening to that. I feel smarter every time I listen to it. So you can find all of these in the main feed for The Edge and in the Trek FM master feed. Now, of course, we would love to hear your thoughts on Discovery, and the best place to do that is in the Babel Conference. That is our listeners group on Facebook. I will gather your thoughts and, of course, read them here on Postcards from the Edge. You can also find us on Twitter at Trek FM or send us an email using the contact form on our website at trek.fm/contact. Choose to send to a show and then choose The Edge, and that will come right to me, and I would be very happy to read that on our show. So, Tim, where can people find you on the interwebs, and what are you up to?
You can find me on the interwebs in the Babel Conference. I hang out there occasionally. Just look for Tim Robertson. I'm on the Twitterverse, so you can contact me there at timrobertson56. And I also have my own podcast for those of you that are amateur astronomers or have a telescope and are looking to do something exciting with that. The podcast is called The Observer's Notebook, and it's the official podcast of the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers. So that's available on all formats. You can check it out. Thank you.
That is a really good show. I listen every week, and it's so good because I really know nothing. I took an astronomy course at the university. I won't say how many years ago. And so I'm somewhat familiar, but listening, I mean, I knew that there was the meteor shower this past weekend, and I feel very up to date in my astronomy.
Yeah, my latest episode was about the Orionid meteor shower. And of course, you got up at 4:30 in the morning and watched it, didn't you? With the wonderful dark skies in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, because all those bright lights in the casinos, yes. All right.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yes. Well, we would like to thank our associate producers, and they are Norman Lau, Tony Robinson, Thomas Puleo, Lisa Slack, Shoaib Mirza, and Richard Rutledge. Thank you so much for supporting The Edge. And if you'd like to help us keep all of our shows going and even become an associate producer, visit patreon.com/TrekFM for all the details. Well, Tim, thank you for coming on Postcards from the Edge. I love having you on, and I'm sure that you will be on again, right?